What up, pros? We got Lewis Milich talking about the pro circuit and meta here on Proplaygn today. All relevant information will be in the description below, along with links to Uncle Lou and I's social media. So without further ado...
Alright. I just realized I bought the cheap orange juice.
Okay, so I'm recording. What's up, everybody? We got Lewis Milich.
What's up, y'all?
We got Lewis Milich over here. We're going to be asking some questions about the pro circuit, just his season so far, some of the teams he's been playing with, some other questions like that. Some cool Pokemans questions. So, I like to start off with this question. I'm trying to make it my signature question, but how do you come up with your cores?
With my cores?
Like team cores?
Usually, I don't know. I'm pretty inventive, and I feel like I'm pretty creative whenever I come up with teams. But to be quite honest, I like to copy whatever is really common. It's hard to describe really, because I'll just pick whatever I'm most comfortable with and go with it. I'll choose the most common core if that's what I like, but if I don't like it, I'll pick a different one. But I'll usually pick the most common core. Try to find ways to team build around it. Definitely practice with it. Definitely practice with the most common cores, just so you at least know how they play. So whenever you play against them, you know what they're trying to do.
Yeah.
It's pretty good if you know common sequences, common things that are going to switch out, when they're going to switch out. But I'll usually play around with the common core a bit, and then I'll try to find a few little techs or some mons that kind of deal with the core to help you with the mirror matchup. I'm sure most of you guys saw the Tentacruel, whenever I top cut with Tentacruel. So, or hopefully you guys did, so you
I'll put
know
it in
who I am.
Yeah.
But yeah, I top cut with Tentacruel on one of the Arcanine Finny teams. And basically it was the whole deal was run Arcanine Finny because that was one of the most common cores going around. And Tentacruel was for the mirror matchup. So I could beat whatever I needed to beat and then beat the mirror instead of having to worry about speed ties or speed creeping or anything like that.
Mm-hmm. I think we're both Alex Ogloza patrons, so I'm pretty sure I know I had a similar team, let's just put it that way, and I think Metagross AV was on my team and you had in that slot instead Tentacruel.
I completely stole the team from Alex. And I gave him all the creds and stuff like that too. I need to catch one of his. I haven't been able to catch a lot of his streams lately, but I definitely stole. I stole the team from him because I was playing. I knew from actually. I even stole Tentacruel a little bit because I saw what's his face Necrocat. Necrocat got top 4 at a mid-season with it over in Europe, and I saw a top 4 and I was like, wait, Tentacruel? And I was like, why is it good? And I started thinking about how it was good. And then I thought, oh my god, this thing's a monster against Arcanine Finny. Because you can switch into Snarls and not get any special attack drops. Then you can threaten to 2-hit KO the Arcanine with Scald around the 50% berry that everybody was using. Mm-hmm. And also all the Finny at the time were super, they were mainly defensive because to deal with Kartana Leaf Blades and stuff like that. And so they weren't invested a lot in special attack. So Poisonium Z would just one-shot it. Mm-hmm. And so you can one-shot it game 1 and then game 2 if they try to adapt, Protect or Switch out. You can throw up a sub. Even if it's 252 modest Specs Finny and it Moonblasts Tentacruel, it won't even break sub. So it's just a free sub if you get Tentacruel out in front of it. It was just a great tech, and I don't think I'll ever use it again because now all the Finny are a lot more specially bulky as well. The meta shifted, so there's Garchomp everywhere. I mean, the only thing I even had on that team really to deal with Garchomp was Ninetales, so I had to be really smart about preserving it. And I don't know, just the way the meta shifted, Tentacruel just isn't as good anymore. I would say if anything, a bulky Tentacruel is better because I know Necrocat was using it with Liquid Ooze. Excuse me. It was Liquid Ooze and Black Sludge, and his goal was just to stall with it on a Bulu team. So whenever Celesteela Leech Seeds, it hurts the Celesteela. That was what he used it for. But I used it for just offense because that was the nature of the team.
I really liked that I really did because I saw like the skeleton of the team and I kind of knew what was missing from it and what it was replacing. So
Yeah.
like I was like, oh cool. I know, like, I kind of knew what it was gonna do. And when I
Mhm.
saw the game on stream, I actually kind of remember almost like something not breaking a sub of like one of the Tentacruel subs, but I don't know if that could have been another game in another stream. Speaking of that game, I'll put that in the description below for everyone to watch. It's a really good game. You guys should watch it.
Please don't. I play bad and I lose.
No, you didn't play bad. All right. Well,
No, I'm kidding. Throw it in. Throw it in.
okay.
They need to see that stuff. They need to see like, especially if you're trying to get good. That's probably the best way I can tell you to get good. Because obviously, like if you've never played before, you need to learn a lot. Like it's all about knowledge, but
Mhm.
at the beginning it's about knowledge. Because after you have all the knowledge you need to be successful, you need something else to supplement the knowledge because you can't just be good with knowledge. So watching top players play and seeing different play styles or different ways that people team build and different ways that people like make reads and try to cover switches and stuff like that. Like after you have all the knowledge, you kind of need to get those advanced, like the advanced level of play type of plays. I don't know. I'm doing bad at describing it, but
I understand. Like, I get
yeah,
it.
it's stuff like board position. Like board
Mhm.
position is something that, like, if you have all the knowledge, if you know everything there is to know in the Pokemon universe, and then you try to play competitive, but you don't know anything about board position and how it works, then you're just gonna lose.
Word up. Word up. Like for example, board position. Like for example, something that a lot of people might not know. Porygon 2 might actually be like safer out at some points, like being able to
Mhm.
recover, than it would be in the back if even if like you had a fighting type out there, like depending on the speed and stuff. So that's
Mhm.
just kind of like a quick explanation to what he was saying. I don't know if it was the best explanation, but trying to put it into context, you know?
Yeah, I got you. Porygon 2 actually was an interesting matchup on my regionals team because I didn't anticipate physical Porygon 2 at all because I don't play the game as much as I should. And recently before the tournament, a lot of people started using physical Porygon, and I wasn't playing as many practice matches as I probably should have in order to see it. So the way I dealt with Porygon was just leaving it alone because I have 5 things on my team that resisted Ice type
Hmm.
and then Snorlax. So Ice Beam wasn't doing anything. If it had Thunderbolt, then I had like Marowak. If it had Shadow Ball, then it's Shadow Ball. It's
Snorlax.
bad. It's bad. You can just like protect Marowak and play around that. But then in top 8, I faced the physical Porygon that now everybody's starting to use. And like I actually even like looked at the EVs on my team to give Porygon the attack boost, not the special attack boost, to avoid like tri attacks and stuff like that. And so in the game, like over and over and over again, it kept getting like attack boosts, and I was like, oh, please stop doing this, like, because I didn't have a way to get rid of it. I would just let it sit there and do nothing. Like even if it tries to toxic, I have Finny on the team, so it can't even like toxic. It literally just does nothing. If it sets up Trick Room, then Snorlax just wins. So Porygon 2, like all tournament, like I would through 10 rounds, I would just sit there and like there are games where it would sit on the field for like 7 turns and do absolutely nothing, and I'll just double into whatever is next to it the entire game. Then at the end of the game, just like Perish Song or like Encore it into Recover,
Yeah,
and then by then it was usually over.
definitely. Yeah, that's Porygon 2, man. Especially with the return now. And the frustration. Some people running frustration too, just for like whatever. I think the possibility of imprisoner. I don't know, like whatever.
Yeah, they run it for Imprison and for Transform too, but that was more of a thing in 2016 when you would like power up punch with Kangaskhan, and then you would try to transform into it with Smeargle. Because if you tried to like transform into their Kangaskhan and it like didn't have the right like happiness or whatever, then the move wouldn't do any damage.
That's so strange. Man, last year, anyway, don't I'll make a video about that some other time and I'm sure you have too. So
Yeah, that was a horrible year. I consider VGC 2016 like the dark ages of VGC. But it's kind of ironic because I feel like for most of the season we kind of got it wrong. I think we got caught up a lot last year in the fact that it was a bad format. So we never really pushed it to the extreme because all year we complained about how it was bad, it was so hard to team build. Then Worlds comes around and Wolfie and
exactly.
Marcus and Bella used the best team that was ever made, and we were like, wow. It went like 8 months went by in this format and nobody thought of this. So while you can say like, yeah, it was the dark ages because it was a horrible format and it was like RNG affected games more than ever. Like it was a bad format, and that truly is the case. And I don't think anybody would rather have VGC 16 unless they just miss clicking Geomancy every game to get their wins. But the only thing, so like we'll miss the format, yeah, but I think there is still a lot of stuff in that format that maybe we missed or maybe went a little bit untouched.
Definitely. I can't speak to it as much because I didn't I didn't play as much last year as I would have wanted to because of the reasons we're giving.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, I hardly played last year either. I went to one regional last year, like the entire VGC 16 like circuit, and it was. Well, no. I went to a VGC tournament at the start of this year, but the entirety of VGC 16 on the circuit last year. I went to one event, and it was like a best of one event, and I ran Scarf Ogre. So, like, people would, like, in best of one, you have, like, no hope. Like, you're anticipating Primal Kyogre, obviously, and then they'll just lead, like, Scarf Ogre Skeptile, or, like, Scarf Ogre Talonflame, or something like that, and then you'll just realize, like, wait a minute. Like, if you lead Thunderous Mence into what you think is not Scarf Ogre, and then they lead like Skeptile Scarf Ogre into you, it's like the game's over. Like already, there's nothing you can like. There's no switches that like won't take the damage. So I ran that, and I actually played on stream with that team.
Did you?
And then missed a power whip and lost, and then vowed never to use that move ever again in competitive play.
The infamous power whip loss that you always talk about.
Dude, it haunts me. It really does. I was 4-0, and that was like my first regional. No, it was my second regional. That was the first regional I was taking seriously, because the other regional I went to was like, I didn't even know what VGC was, and I just heard about it. I actually signed up in the wrong age division. Like, I signed up as a senior instead of a master, and they called me up to the table, and they're like, how old are you? And I was like, I think I was 19 at the time? Yeah, 19. I was like, 19, and they were like, why'd you sign up as a senior? And I was like, well, I'm not a master at this game. This is my first tournament. And they were just like, you're so stupid. And I was like, I know. I just didn't know anything about it.
Whatever. Honest. Me too. I made a similar. I just didn't know. Like I didn't even know about divisions my first tournament, like the age division. So I was just like expecting to like crush some random kids, like no IV, team. And I came in and like, you get put with. I actually did okay, to be honest. I think I even got like top 4, but it was a small event. But
was it a PC?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Mine was a regional, the first tournament I went to, so I was just like, oh my god. I actually went 5-3 though. It wasn't that bad. It wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be.
That's a good win-loss ratio, to be honest. People are really hard on themselves these days. Like 2 losses or nothing. Like, don't worry about it, guys. You can, you might not make top cut, but 5-3 is still pretty good. I mean,
5-3 is good, but the thing about like being hard on yourself, I feel like being hard on yourself is something that you kind of need to do.
Oh,
and I think this is, I don't know if I'm going a little too far out there, like when I say this, but I've like played sports my entire life, like. From middle school to high school, I've played on competitive sports teams. So the competitive nature is just like ingrained into me. Like I'm just a very competitive person, and sports always like brought that out in me. And whenever I'm playing good in Pokemon, I feel like I would like whenever I'm playing a sport, kind of. Like it has this, it's not the exact same, but there's stuff that you feel when you play. You just have intuition that like pops out where you're sitting there and you go, oh, I know exactly what he's going to lead this game. Even though you don't know exactly what he's going to lead. Like, you lead countering it because it's just a competitive nature that, like, drives you, that, like, makes you a better player. And I feel like a lot of the people that play Pokemon have never played another sport before. Oh, that's a little bit too far out. I'm not saying, the entire Pokemon community is a bunch of nerds, but obviously...
We are.
Well, I definitely am. I'll own up to it. But I feel like a lot of the people like that play Pokemon haven't played another sport, or they haven't even. It's not about playing the sport, but it's about being exposed to a competitive environment and knowing how to compete. Because, like I said earlier about the knowledge, you can have the knowledge. You can even have the knowledge to make the plays. You can know everything about the game, know everything about board position. You could be phenomenal. You could be top of the ladder on Showdown. You could be top of the ladder on BattleSpot. But none of that matters. None of that matters when you're in a
true.
competition. None of it matters.
Yeah, it's a
when you need
competitive
to
setting.
Yeah, like none of it
Stress.
matters when you need to compete and you need to have like that competitive edge.
Yeah, you're definitely right about that, and it's not far out at all. You definitely do need a competitive like nature or like feeling in your body when playing these games, because I mean like I can tell it's a
competition.
competition. Yeah, video game championships, right? I mean, it's
That's
be
why
called
losing.
championships for no reason.
Yeah, that's why when you lose and you lose at regionals, like you need to take it hard. You need to make that affect you. It needs to be, because I know I did very bad at Dallas regionals. Like the day started out not the best. Like I lost my first round, but then I got a bye, so I was like, okay, I can come back.
That
But
was good.
round 3, I got like double flinched by Rock Slide to lose a game, and then I got T-Bolt parried, so like I couldn't outspeed something to stop it from setting up Tailwind. And then I lost the game, went to 1 and 2, and it after that it was just a horrible experience. The entire day was just a drag, and I went home after that, and I was thinking, what the hell happened? Like, what went wrong? I like didn't even upload onto YouTube for like 5 days afterwards or so, because I was just sitting there. It was like a contemplation period. It wasn't, because that's how it needs to be. Like when you lose, in order to make yourself get better, you need to have that time to yourself. It's all a mindset as well. And so I thought very critically about not only like the way I played, thought about my team, thought about the meta, like thought about my attitude, how I need to be going into each and every game. And 2 weeks after Dallas, or no, it was a week after Dallas, I saw tickets to go to Athens were really cheap. And I was like, I need to get out there. I need to get back out there. I can't sit with that being my last tournament result for a long time. I just want to get back out there, compete again. I got a team, or I was building a team. So, and it was a team I felt pretty comfortable with. I had a couple teams I felt good with. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to go. Like, I'm just going to go do it. And I ended up actually winning money playing Pokemon, which is just bizarre to me.
It is. It's still bizarre to me, but it doesn't make it any less awesome. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, I don't mean bizarre in like the negative connotation, but I mean it in just like, this is insane. I can't believe this just happened to me type of bizarre, where I just paid for all the money I've ever spent on going to regionals, or gas money driving out to tournaments, or registration fees, even buying the games. All of the money I've ever spent on Pokemon, all at once, I just earned back in that one tournament. And I was like, dang, I just can't believe this happened. And that's a feeling I want everybody to feel, which is why I feel everybody should be going to regionals. Everybody should be trying to play, especially if you love the game. Because even if you don't win, I mean, you're going to be meeting a bunch of people that all love the same thing you do, so it's kind of hard not to connect with those people and make some pretty good friends.
No, absolutely. It'll improve your play no matter what tournaments you go to. I mean, losing, I find literally losing sometimes gives you like 10 times the amount of information that about your team that like winning that game would have, you know?
Oh yeah. I was at what regional was that earlier this year? Phoenix. I was at Phoenix, and I faced Aaron, Cybertron.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I hope you know.
Of course.
But I faced Aaron in the first day. He beat me pretty handily. Like, I don't want to say he bodied me.
He's a good player, though.
He's
a really good player.
But he was a better player than me, of course. Like, he beat me. He just beat me. I don't want to say he bodied me, because obviously, like, one turn, one play, you play differently, changes the entire game. So it wasn't like he bodied me. And then I faced him in the PC the next day too. So back-to-back days, I faced him like in a row. And I remember the first time I faced him, it was something weird. Like, it's something weird I felt. I saw, Ian McLaughlin. He's, I think, #1 in CP in the US, or #2 right now. I saw him.
The latter, but yeah. I
saw him tweet out something after we faced Wolfie at Athens. He tweeted out something like, playing Wolfie was like not playing anyone else I've ever played before. It was like a different experience, the way he like sees the game and reads the game so well.
You guys are so
And that
lucky.
was Ian saying that, #1 in CP. And that's exactly the same way I felt when I faced Aaron. It was like, wow, it's like they almost have another like aura about the plays that they're making. And it's like an aura about it that you feel you're so far out of reach of getting. But the more you just play against people like that, and the more you play in general, you realize that sooner rather than later, if you have the knowledge and the know-how, like not just the knowledge but also the knowledge and the skill when you play to back it up, you'll realize that sooner rather than later you can get to that spot. Like you can be top cutting regionals.
Yeah. No, absolutely, and I think we need to like up the amount of players who play VGC like worldwide, and I think this is the year to do it with, especially with this format. Just the amount of like options anybody can really do well with is awesome. There's no one team, it's just great. I mean, there's AFK right now, Arcanine, Fini, Cartana, but
No.
well, I mean, everyone's got every second team,
Yeah,
But
I really hate. The one thing I want to say about this meta is it is so trendy. It's 1 week, everybody will be like, oh, Garchomp, Coco, Gyarados, Marowak, Celesteela, Gastrodon. It's the new Big Six or something or Arcanine, not Gastrodon. Or Arcanine and Gastrodon. But whatever. People will just be like, oh, that's the Big Six. Like, when this year started, everybody used the same team. And they're like, oh, it's so hype. Then everybody started using Rain. Then everybody started. What happened after Rain that everybody got on? Hail, not necessarily as much. Oh, then everybody went Trick Room. Gavin won San Jose, and so everyone
won hard Trick Room. Even I did.
yeah. See, like everybody started doing the hard Trick Room trend. Then at Dallas, there were all the Finny and top cut. It was insane. It was like 70 or 80% like all Finnies on every team in top cut. So then everybody's been playing around Arcanine Finny, and now the Arcanine Finny core kind of evolved from what it was at Dallas, where it was just Arcanine Finny. Now it's evolved into like Arcanine Finny, Garchomp, Kartana, Ninetales, Mux, Snorlax, Mandibuzz. Like those Pokemon, all that I just named right now, 50% of the teams you play will have 4 or more of those mons. Well, if you're like High Ladder Showdown and stuff like that. It's just so trendy, and soon someone's just going to find the core
just named my team.
And does well, not even good, but just does well against the rest of the meta. Then everybody's going to switch and start using that. So you just need to be, in terms of team building, just like ahead of the learning curve when it comes to stuff like that. Like I realized this also, like, after Athens regionals, I saw Wolfie was using Scarf Lele. Now everybody uses Scarf Lele too. Like Scarf Lele is now the most common Lele because of Wolf. Thanks for that.
Well, also because of Nips. Nips won Aeon with Scarf Lele, I think. And it's
yeah. You're right. It's probably more that. Oh, I don't know which it is. Probably both combined.
It's probably both combined.
Yeah, that made everybody start using Scarf Lele. But I forgot even what I was talking about. Oh yeah, Meta Evolves. I saw that Wolfie used Lele, and I was like, well, why did he even use Scarf Lele? And then I was like, oh, well, he was probably expecting a lot of poison types. Not even poison types. Mainly, I thought that he was thinking that he was going to see a lot of Gengar, because Gengar would have done so well against the meta at that time. So then I realized something about team building. It's like, okay, you don't just need to counter the meta, but you also need to be prepared to counter what's countering the meta. Because in top cut, when you get to these top level players that have these top level techs, that's what they're running. They're running the stuff that counters the meta. That's how they top cut, because they just beat everybody who's running stuff with the meta. So for top cut, you need to be prepared to counter what counters the meta. Like if I had faced Wolfie, I would have just been bodied by that Scarf Lele. It would have been ugly. So thank God Juwon beat him. So if I had won, I would have faced Juwon again instead.
Well, I mean, 140 base special defense, it wouldn't have been that bad. I mean, we're talking about Tentacruel right now, right?
Tentacruel has 120.
It's 120.
And Tentacruel, the only way you live a Psychic from Lele is you need to, one, set up Aura Veil and protect. Like, even if you have Aura Veil up, you'll die. You'll die to the Psychic, because it'll have its terrain up.
Well, yeah.
So you need to get up Aura Veil as you protect, and then switch to Finny to get rid of the terrain, and then Z-move the Lele to one-shot it. Like, that was the only way on my team I even had to deal with Lele, because I had Metagross off the team. I also had Snorlax, but, like, Snorlax doesn't like taking a Psychic in Psychic terrain. Like, normally you want to preserve your Snorlax or protect it as you set it up, not just have it sit there and just take tons of damage right off the bat.
No, yeah, you definitely don't want that. Especially not if you're running the Belly Drum set.
Yeah. I actually think Belly Drum is a bad set.
Yeah.
I really don't like it. I really don't.
I just lost to it last weekend.
Oh, did you use it?
No, I didn't. I lost to it. My hard Trick Room team lost to it. Yeah.
You definitely have to prepare for it.
I was prepared for Curse.
Yeah, it's not the optimized version of Snorlax by any means, I don't think. And this is from someone, at least it wasn't on my team, but this is from someone who tested Snorlax. Like, I tested the belly drum set. I made a mistake. I didn't test Recycle, though. If I had Recycle for my top 8 match instead of Protect, then that would have been great. But at the same time, there were matches where they would lead Arcanine, and you would predict them to, like, Will-O-Wisp Lax. So you could Protect Lax, set up Aura Veil, then switch in the Finny. But, like, leading Snorlax and Ninetales into Arcanine when you don't have Protect on Snorlax is pretty sketchy, to be honest.
Yeah, especially if you want Aurora Veil up.
Yeah.
Because you have to choose.
It's bad. You're better off just switching the Snorlax out in that scenario. Which actually, I was running Recycle Snorlax at a mid-season, and it didn't. I can't believe it. I faced the exact same team at the mid-season that I lost to in top 8, and I was like, no, like I can't believe it's happening again, and it also beat me again. So I was like, wow. I even like changed my team so I could better deal with this team, but I still lost to it.
Oh, that sucks. You know, that oftentimes happens though, like, because when you're like, you know, improving your team to take on something that you lost to, like, at least this happens to me. I oftentimes get caught up in like, oh, that Pokemon does that too. Oh, that's so cool. And then like I'll put that on and then like kind of forget about that thing that like beat me and then be like, oh, and then lose to it again. Like, you know what I mean? So